everyone, my name is Quizzical, and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be continuing on our playthrough of Horace. This time we're trying to not to die. Apparently each and every time I start a new video I'm going to commemorate it by killing Horace in some horrible fashion. But either way, it's not actually my goal. Okay. Either way, apparently we're going to be breaking out a friend of Mr. Silton's from prison. And Horace seems already apprehensive about all this, as any smart person would be. Okay, so I've got to figure out the best way to get him out of prison. I'm beginning to wonder if there aren't, like, upgrades I should be able to get by now, besides the shield and other things. Wait, is it this easy? Some of it was easy. Okay. But what am I supposed to do there? Am I supposed to... I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh. It's not that big of a jump. I'm dumb. Wait, I gotta press the button again? Aw, crud. It's not that big of a jump. I should have been able to make that pretty easy. I was just stupid. I just got my head zapped. Also, apparently we found out that Horace has a capability of murdering people. I mean, maybe the video games got a little bit too much to him. Maybe. And he knows the Star Wars references, so that's good. Ish. Oh, I nearly died there. Oh,
it's obvious the security lights would set off an alarm.
Okay. Oh, there's... okay. So maybe if I go up here I can turn them off.
Oh.
Is there a shield in here? Yes. Cell block H. Oh, wait, is there something up the wall? Ah ha ha! No, thank you, security guard. Wait. What?
I needed to find somewhere to hide, or the guards would kill me.
Oh gosh, there's a lot of people. Okay, we're just gonna go back in here. Wait. What? Oh. Oh. It's time. Okay. Okay, so wait. Wait, is there something down there? Oh, it's just... okay, it's just a floor. Okay. Okay. Ooh, don't want to get spotted by the guard. So we're taking the ceiling. Oh. Okay. Oh. A little bit bigger this time now.
According to Mr. Sultan, this was the switch that would open the laser door to Mr. Logan's cell block.
that's where I was earlier. Storeroom? Ah! So, what, did that just make it, like, super easier for me? Did I completely shut off the alarm? Nope, I did not. Hiding in here. Wait for the lights to go past. Oh dear. No, 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 no. Hide. Okay, these guys are armed with like freaking taser cannons. Don't. What? Why are you calling? Now is not the time to call your mother. I don't know how to make those bigger jumps. Hide in here quickly. Don't look up, don't look up, don't look up. What? I gotta go in the middle. To the control room. Oh, this is bad. Go, 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 go. Just stop. No, 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 no. Yeah, thank you for letting me use it now. Okay. Do I have to hide? So I guess this guy's just constantly looking that way. Okay. So maybe if I do this instead. Now run, 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 run. What's in here?
Out.
Another shield. Okay. Security room. No. Just no. No. Wait, is that it? Where's the power button? Oh, I have to go in there.
Mr. Silton seemed to think this would open the cell block door. Luckily, he was right. Unsurprisingly, Mr. Logan's cell was locked, but, thanks to my speedy brain, I was able to hack it in seconds. Mr. Logan was not pleased to see me. No one ever was. But I couldn't work out why. However, when I mentioned Mr. Silton, he soon cheered up. We quickly made our way outside. Although I wasn't sure about Mr. Logan's stealth techniques, they were quite different from mine. But someone must have noticed Mr. Logan was missing, as, with a bright flash, we were soon attacked. This still wasn't the plan, said Mr. Silton as he insisted he was okay, and that, no, I didn't need to clean up the trail of blood. He did, however, urge me to take care of the huge tank bearing down on us.
Oh gosh. Okay, jeez. Might catch fire, that's right. Ah, dang it. This is very loud, actually. It's not just for me.
We all piled into the van. Mr. Logan and Mr. Preston took out large guns as Mr. Silton gave me some driving software.
Oh wow.
It
Okay.
basically explained that one foot pump made the van go, and the other one signaled Mr. Logan
Oh,
and Preston to fire their guns.
Oh dear. That's it, register all robots? Mainton, 15 miles. That's it, register all robots, right? I'm not just crazy. What is this cave? Okay, we're committing some major crimes here, at least. Welcome to Mainton. Military zone.
I hoped that all the bullets fired led to non-fatal wounds, but statistically that was incredibly unlikely.
Oh, God.
Strange.
Oh,
Eventually, I felt too excited and relieved to care. Mr. Silton winced as he clutched his bleeding shoulder and explained how you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. I think broken eggs meant dead people. Sometimes, he said, you have to do whatever it takes to survive, even if that means killing.
But not innocent people,
said Mr. Logan as he stared straight ahead. Eventually, I asked Mr. Logan what he had done to end up in prison, but he just continued staring out of the window. Mr. Preston smiled as he said, I suppose someone should explain. He told me when the war started, he and Mr. Silton had avoided conscription, but Mr. Logan was called up. His unit's first orders were to sweep through a huge urban area, killing anything that moved. The only trouble was, hundreds of refugees had recently taken shelter there. The generals knew that those people were there, said Mr. Preston, but they couldn't have cared less.
This isn't the time for another one of your conspiracy theories,
interrupted Mr. Silton. Although this obviously annoyed Mr. Preston, he continued explaining how Mr. Logan and another man deserted, and, after a poor attempt to hide in a wooden vaulting horse, the pair of them were caught at gunpoint on a train, whilst trying to speak rudimentary German. Mr. Logan guided us down a small side street as Mr. Preston complained that he needed the toilet. Mr. Silton asked why we were taking the scenic route while he was trying not to bleed to death. But Mr. Logan gave Mr. Silton a quick glance. You're fine, he said with the faintest of smiles. Soon the night sky was full of twinkling stars, and I was able to impress everyone with my navigation skills. The software was state-of-the-art, but I remember Heather telling me how the ancients had used the stars in much the same way. It always made me smile, thinking about the names she gave the constellations.
One-fingered salute, the demented horse.
It was the middle of the night by the time we got back, but Mrs. Silton was still up waiting for us. Really, again, in the same place, was all she said as she shook her head and tended to Mr. Silton's second bullet wound. Mr. Preston nearly knocked us over as he sprinted towards the bathroom. It appeared that his body had kept on making urine, even though it didn't have anywhere left to store it.
Thursday Night TV. Musical diversion. Trust me, I'm a celebrity. Questions for money. Here's what happened, and this is what you should think about it.
I asked Mr. Silton about Heather and the old lady, but he said he was just about to wash his hair. When I asked him again later, he said the main thing was that we'd got Logan and the van back, and couldn't the rest wait until I had cleaned up the band room for him. I didn't know what to say. Everything we had done, everything I had helped him with, I thought it was all to get everyone back together. But now I didn't know what to think. Before I could say anything, Mrs. Silton explained that it was okay if I only travelled on trains and was alone. I must have looked worried as Mrs. Silton smiled and continued, if you really want these idiots to go with you, they can disguise themselves and catch the next train after you. Mr. Silton was dismissive, and said I'd get nowhere without proper ID. They'll be stopping robots for even the tiniest of things, he said. And a robot passport costs a fortune these days. Well, said Mrs. Silton, it's a good job I've got this. Mr. Silton looked confused and asked where Mrs. Silton got the money. Sometimes, said Mrs. Silton, when God slams a door in your face and shoots you twice in the shoulder, he opens a window. Mrs. Silton explained how Preston had given her the extra money. He said there was good money to be made selling pills and powder to people that distracted them from the world being an absolute mess. Bedtime, said Mr. Logan as he carried his guitar into his room. Everyone else left one by one, leaving me stroking the dog.
Okay, do we want to talk about how Horace was legit about to kill Silton? Oh gosh, not this again. Okay, down to go up. It's inverted. Why? Okay. I don't know why you're dreaming about flying. These are getting faster. Why are they getting faster? Missed that one. Dang it. Oh dear.
I awoke to the sound of Mrs. Silton making herself some breakfast. It felt very early, but I suppose it was just that we had gotten so late. Mrs. Silton gulped down her coffee, and with a reassuring smile she said, "Let's do this."
Do what? Oh, getting a train. Oh, right, there was a door with a passport thing in front of it. Huh.
The pedestrian tunnel was far longer than I expected, but it was nice. It
Thank
gave
you.
me a chance to chat with Mrs. Silton.
Oh. See, look, I seen that. Register all robots. Rogue robot cost lives. Is that supposed to be a mix of Mario, Luigi, or Cheech and Chong? I don't know.
She told me she was from
Yeah.
an upper-class family, and that her parents had nearly disowned her when she married Mr. Silton.
It's supposed to be like Mario and Luigi, I think. At least I think so. Trust me, I'm a celebrity.
But she said she really was happy being with her husband. And after all, as she put it, he did provide for her in this messed up world.
Okay, lady, I'm not trying to mean anything.
However, I couldn't help but laugh when she said how much she liked Mr. Silton's band.
Why are you walking around so much, being pregnant?
I steered the conversation onto the topic of the war. She explained she had been a nurse near some major combat, but she looked really sad, so I changed the subject. I asked her if the town was nice. Mrs. Silton smiled, and described it as a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Huh. Okay. What's this supposed to do? Oh, give me access if I need it. Okay. Wow. Don't mind me, people. I'm just, causing problems. Basketball!
Train tickets cost 1,000. So Mrs. Silton said I should trade in some of the things I'd cleaned so I could afford to travel.
Oh.
However, when we tried the door, it was apparent that the junkyard owner wouldn't be back for a while. So Mrs. Silton suggested I try to earn some money by other means. She said there were plenty of jobs in the town that a robot could do.
Oh. Really? Okay. Tea room and cafe?
The largest of the old ladies explained the job to me. I would be drying plates.
Oh.
She explained that old people couldn't afford to retire anymore, so she and her friends had to take menial jobs. All of the old ladies would be throwing plates at me as quickly as they could. I just had to catch and dry them.
Oh. Okay. Is this the Golden Girls? Yeah, it's the Golden Girls. Ooh, here we go. So... Wait. Wait, how do I move? Oh. Oh! I gotta control two of my arrow keys at the same time. Criminy! Dry spell. I earned 179 pounds? I think that is. Okay. A ton. Alright, so I'm not very good at that minigame. Most pricey can... Mos Eisley? Oh my gosh! Doodly-doo, doodly-doo. Oh,
The rickety old door led into some kind of drinking establishment. But the bartender soon made it clear that, as he put it, they didn't serve my kind here, and that I would have to wait outside.
oh my gosh! It is. It's exactly freaking Star Wars. How many references does this game have? Arcade? Oh. Day off. Insert coin. Press X to start. Oh. Freddy Krueger, Hulk. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Oh my gosh. Did you guys see all those characters on the front of it? Wait, do I have money for this? Hungry, hungry ghost ghost. It's Slimer and the Ghostbusters. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Robot dies. Robot dyers. Okay, can't go in there. Be Littlewoods? What's this about?
Suddenly, as if by magic, the shopkeeper appeared.
Hello?
Hello, sir, he said. If there's something that catches your eye, just pick it up and bring it over to me.
Ooh. Speedy clean. Vacuum. Fitting. Ooh, so these are things I can...
I'm sorry, sir, said the shopkeeper. You don't have enough money.
Oh.
The fitting room was actually a robot upgrade.
We're gonna explore a little bit more, see if there's any other things to explore. That guy terrifies me. No. Our send. Oh. Is that supposed to be a girl rope? What?
The post lady explained the job to me. I would be sorting parcels. Many people were now separated by desolate battlefields and needed these care packages to survive.
Okay.
The parcels were either red or blue. I just had to stamp the right ones with the right color
Is
at
this
the right
supposed to
time.
be Team Fortress? Okay. Gotcha. Ooh. nice. Posty? Alright. That was cool. What else we got? Oh, is that it? That's it. Okay, so how much money did we make again? Oh, more than enough for train tickets, please. One journey, any route. It's Thomas the Tank Engine! It's like Thomas the Tank Engine and Sir Topham Hatt. Mainton. Whee!
Mind the doors. The train is now departing.
Okay, can I get on? Oh, I can't. No. Don't leave me. Oh, there.
Mind the doors. The train is now departing.
Oh, here we go. This is the age, so we're going from Mayton to Big City.
Mr. Deck's TV studio was deep inside the bombed-out buildings of Big City.
Oh. Wow, that didn't take very long.
Big City, this is Big City.
Alright. Thomas Tank Engine again.
Once I'd made my way out of the station, Mr. Silton and the others jogged up alongside me. As soon as they got the chance, they ducked into an alleyway to change their clothes. Mr. Silton was the first to change. Deck's studio's down that way, he said, in that huge posh building, the British Corporation of Truth. The Corporation of Lies and Propaganda, a wretched hive of scum and villainy, said Mr. Preston. And dancing competitions, said Mr. Silton. There are some benches at the other end of the road. We'll wait there till the crew leave, then sneak in through one of the loading bays.
Ooh. Hours sent. Okay, so there's another postal service place again.
While we walked, I asked how Mr. Deck had ended up back on television. Celebrities weren't very keen on walking down the red carpet at awards ceremonies with bombs falling from the skies, explained Mr. Silton. But they still craved attention and validation, so the solution was to host one big award show in a giant underground bunker at Burlington.
Why do I feel like I would know more about this if I was British? How many things have I cleaned? Oh, almost
You can't broadcast from deep underground, so they had to run cables to the transmitter through a vent on the surface.
King, we're off to...
A bomb-sized vent, as it turned out. It took a great shot. 1 in a million. The lack of survivors meant listers like Deck were now the A-list by default. Just then, Mr. Logan interrupted, saying it was time to move.
Oh, just go again, huh? Ah. ha ha ha. Ah, dang it. Well, this is gonna be fun. See, there's just enough time that if I time it right, I could jump onto that other wall. Just like that. And I shut it down. I should be able to do the same thing. Woohoo! And then shut it off. And there we go.
Robots are allowed pretty much anywhere in the building as long as they look the part, whispered Mr. Silton. You just need to be wearing no clothes and have the blankest of faces. I didn't really like the sound of that, but I realized it was the only way I'd be able to get in. So I took off my suit and made my face blank. Blanker, said Mr. Silton.
Blanca!
Blanker with an ER, said Mr. Silton again. Well, I suppose that'll have to do. Deck's dressing room is in some lavish suite, said Mr. Silton and Mr. Preston and Mr. Logan lower me into the empty corridor below.
Blanca from
Have a
Street
look
Fighter.
around, whispered Mr. Silton, and we'll catch up with you in a bit.
Okay, that was cute. Okay, hang on a minute. Hang on. Alright, we're actually going to... excuse me, we're going to have to stop the video here. It's been a long while already, and the videos seem to be getting a little bit longer as time goes on, so I'm going to have to try and chop them up a little bit. So either way, if you like the video, please leave a like, please leave a comment if you would like to, I enjoy reading those, and if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, please hit the subscribe button. Either way, this has been Quizzical. Laters!